Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time, grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work.
Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson, and of course with me in my co-host seat is the co-hostess with all the tech, Techy Joe. Hello, Shannon. How are you, darlings? Thank you for
Hello,
the shirt.
Shannon.
I'm loving it.
Yes.
Yes.
He was so excited with the shirt. He is
Yes.
so excited to be able to wear it.
Yep. And it says exactly what I've been feeling here lately.
Yeah, the older I get, the more I side with witches from fairy tales who moved out to the woods and killed anyone who bothered them.
Uh-huh.
I think one's voice has to trail down.
Well, it normally does trail down, honey.
You know.
But, thank you for the shirt. It's awesome. It fits perfectly. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Mika. Hi, Brenda.
Crazy in general.
Mhm.
With, everything going on. We're still organizing. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Mary. And getting our lives into the new wrecking ball of what we call everything. I've been working on a lot of content. So that's why you haven't seen much of me online and other places. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Ashley. Hi, Amy. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Mary. I think I'm all caught up now. But yeah.
Yeah.
No, you've been really churning out some content. Like, you've been trying to get stuff, like, built ahead.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's taken a toll. That's been a lot.
It is. It's a lot of video content. But you guys should be starting on Sunday. Cross our fingers. Be getting the daily ones and also the weekly overviews. Patrons will get their overviews on Saturday. Everyone else gets them on Sunday or Monday. And then I can begin building other things so that you guys have a lot of content available to you. And of course, we have two shows. We have the Psychic Coffee Shop, 9:30 on Tuesdays, and we have Mountain Bears Tonight, 9:30 on Fridays. You guys will be seeing a new show called Coffee Chat. It is not a scheduled broadcast. It is I may pop on at 7 in the morning and have coffee with one of my European friends who does social media marketing for spiritualists. I may come in at like 5 in the afternoon and do a coffee chat with Lady Gwendolyn and other people that really don't fit into either show, but I think they bring something to the table. And it allows me to sit down and have a conversation with them. Now, this show's a little different because we probably won't do readings unless it's like a psychic reading thing.
So Shannon says two things. First, she's got her shirt on too. And second, dude, if it's before 2 p.m., I'm sleeping.
Well, I know. But, there's always replay. But some of them are probably going to be at 7 a.m. because I'm dealing with people that are in Europe. So my 7 p.m. is like their 2 p.m.
Right. Yeah. World time zones are fun.
Yes. But no, I'm hoping that it'll be an interesting series and interesting content, and we can actually connect up with some of the people I really look up to that don't have a book out, that don't have, services to sell or something to that effect, but it's a good conversation. Because I think I need conversation. You guys need conversation. The last part you missed, Ashley, was about readings. I said it may not be a reading show. Example, if I'm talking to someone that does social media marketing, that's not really a reading show.
Right.
Or if I'm talking to someone that does bionetic engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll offer a lot of different opportunities to sit down and have, exactly like you were saying, conversations that don't kind of go otherwise.
Right.
Like it's not not our normal like author guest scenario. And well, Mountain Bears, have we ever done a guest?
No, I've got you on the hunt for one because I want him on the show. Let me clarify. I want him on the show. Just because I love his content, I love what he's doing. I do want to bring on some guests. I want to bring on some guests for things for Mountain Bears that I can't speak to. I can't speak to trans rights and the fight of trans rights. I can't speak to gay history because I don't know a lot of it. There's different parts of the community that we can't speak of because even though we're part of the community and we support the community, we don't have all the answers. So I want to bring onto Mountain Bears guests that will be other parts of the community.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And you've already had one. One of the coffee chats you did with Dottie.
Yeah, I had a coffee chat with Dottie. That was a good one. Definitely, I enjoyed it. I'm working on scheduling the tarot author that couldn't come on because she's in Spain, which this is the fun thing with time zones. We're in EST.
Yeah.
Central Europe is CEST. So if you're not looking really close at time zoning, you can read 9:30 EST and think that it's 9:30 CST. So that's why she didn't make it. But
she did technically.
Yeah.
She was here at 9:30 in the morning on that Tuesday.
Yeah.
And she was very confused.
Yeah, she was here 6 hours early, so she got here before we even had the coffee pod going on.
Oh, well, no, 12 hours.
No, they're 6 hours ahead.
6? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she got here bright and early. We weren't here, and yeah, it was crazy.
Yes. Yes.
Hello, Lady Gwen.
Yes, I'm going to have her in, and we're going to be talking about pagan leadership and the face of the new paganism. Because I'm an old witch, and the new witchcraft is growing and changing and flowing, and so many things going on there. So, guys, I really hope you like this new content. Yes, we are working on the magazine. It will be a major issue, I promise you. It'll have a lot of information, at least 2 articles in it. We just got to get it out. But I've been focusing on video content so that you guys can have your continual content. So that's what I've been doing. You've been busy also.
Yes. When it rains, it pours, guys. So yeah, lots of computer repairs, lots of running, lots of trying to get everyone taken care of. Then we've been also, co-hosting or at least co-part of other live streams.
You've been producing.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah, that's what you produce.
Right, we've been producing.
Yeah, welcome to the world of 5D, where you just multiply yourself by 3, and then you're at least at level.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, I've just been kind of trying to make sure everyone got everything they needed by the time they absolutely had to have it. That's as good as we're doing right now,
right?
Or at least as good as I'm doing,
right?
So yeah. I'm hoping next week slows down just a little.
It should.
I need to catch my breath a bit
for a second. Speaking of slowing down, currently there's a rocket that is going to be slamming into the United States. Well, it'll be slamming into the world.
Somewhere.
somewhere. It has definitely slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
For those that are not aware, debris from a massive Chinese rocket expected to crash into the Earth this weekend. Expect for fucking crazy ass weather, y'all. Every time they puncture that atmosphere, the fucking weather goes to crap.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, the Long March 5B rocket's descent back to Earth cannot be pinpointed until within hours of its re-entry.
Right.
So yeah, it could fall anywhere from as far north as New York to as far south as New Zealand. That's a large range.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. But it is projected to reach Earth tomorrow.
Yep. And of course, they're tracking 23 tons of pieces of the rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, some of those will burn off. Others, maybe not so much. Meanwhile, Chinese is insisting that Friday that the most of the debris will burn upon re-entry, posing little threat to along the expected path.
I know, but see, I'm just sitting here going a 23 ton. And enough of it's going to burn off that it's expected to pose little harm. That seems like hard to follow.
Yeah, so those that are having the 2020, 2021 bingo cards and had items hitting the Earth, hit your sticker.
Yeah, really. Have we decided what we'd win if we win 2021 bingo?
2023.
Okay. Oh, yeah. But no, they're saying the way this rocket is built that because of its special design, the vast majority will burn up.
Right.
So that's good. I mean, but still, that's a lot of rocket to burn up in the atmosphere. That's kind of scary.
Right.
Like, that can't be good.
No.
Like, that just doesn't sound good.
Again, expect fucking crazy ass weather. Storms popping up, massive storms, rainfall that's supposed to be a little sprinkle, turning into a damn tidal wave. Because they fuck with it, it messes every time. You can always tell when NASA has done something. Chinese, it's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping that it hits the Pacific near the equator,
Mm-hmm.
which could also cause tidal waves.
Yeah. It's still scary.
Right.
Like, it's scary.
Right.
But yeah, I would hope it at least breaks apart on re-entry enough that like the individual pieces aren't that bad. Like, yeah. Like, no one wants 1,000-pound chunk of anything slamming into their house. Like, please no.
Right. Or hitting the ocean and causing not just one house to be washed away, but a lot of houses, like a whole island, just becomes inundated with water.
Yeah.
But apparently, this rocket was sent up because it carried more modules for the Chinese space station. Now remember, they're not a part of the International Space Station. They're building their own.
Well, great.
Yeah.
How many space stations do we need? Like, why can't we all get along?
We just need to admit that we have a moon base and get over it and move forward.
Okay. I don't know.
Well, I figured by now, if we look at history, I figured we'd at least have a colony on Mars. I mean, we discovered America, and 2 years later, we're sending ships to recolonize it. Like there wasn't already colonies and government here to begin with.
Yeah, but so many people got traumatized with Columbia.
Yeah.
Like that slowed, I think, the entire, like that put a damper on the entire space program for many countries.
Right.
Like that was a lot of, Oh, so Ashley saw the Chinese rocket while she was at the nail salon.
Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
checking for updates on Twitter. But no, let's see what else is going on. What else do we have in our wheelhouse?
Oh, we've got a few articles for this evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently if you see this at Walmart, don't go inside.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lovely list of things, like nobody is checking the number of customers inside. Don't go in that Walmart. The ventilation system doesn't seem to be working. Don't go in that Walmart. Like, there are no signs encouraging social distancing. Don't go in that Walmart.
How about this? Skip going to Walmart.
Well, shop local, most definitely. But mask mandates are not being enforced. Don't go in that Walmart. Hours for elderly and immunocompromised people aren't being enforced. Don't go in that Walmart. Yeah. Those are your big ones.
Right.
Now, honestly, I don't think I've seen a Walmart that is actually doing all of those. Is anyone that is still doing?
Right.
Still doing.
Right.
Oh, Brenda's jumping ahead of us.
Oh, yes. Big Jim did announce, or should we call him Little Jim, because he normally goes and hides, that he will be relieving the mask mandate after June 20th. Yep.
Happy West Virginia Day. We're gonna see if we have enough herd immunity to not kill everyone.
I don't know. I think they've gotten to the point now, if they can't get people to vaccinate, fine. Let's just get everyone vaccinated we can and start digging holes.
Unfortunately, what it may turn into. But there's also the additional issue is that with that, if we don't have enough people with herd immunity, this will continue at a slower rate, but will continue to change. You'll get more variants, which may render the vaccine ineffective.
Right.
And then those of us who are vaccinated may in turn from those who are not vaccinated and eventually catch a strain that the vaccine will not work against. Yeah, I think Shannon brings up I think they are like, if you refuse the vaccine, then that's on you. Except it isn't.
Well, see, this is the
thing. Why is it this crowd has such a problem understanding that?
Right.
It's not just on you. It's on, if you become the incubus to a variant that is not, controlled by the vaccine already,
right,
then you're going to reintroduce this to the population around you. Everyone might as well not have bothered because your dumb self didn't get a vaccine, got the virus, it created a variant inside you that spread to other people, and now we're all sitting ducks again.
Well, see, here's the problem, though, and this is what I do not understand why they're doing it this way. I remember when the untested H1N1 virus, there wasn't even a 5-minute study on this, was forced on every nurse. If you wanted to work a floor, you had to get the vaccine. Okay? Why are we not doing that with this?
I don't think we're having as much of a problem out of the healthcare community, though.
Well, we are.
Oh, are we seriously?
Seriously. And then we're looking at, and I'm looking at the other areas. I remember, and you probably had to go through this, you had to have a TB test to be able to work in some places, like restaurants and stuff.
Well, volunteering for the hospital, we did have to get one. I was a little nervous on that one. My family has a little bit of an issue with the TB test, and I didn't know if that was specific to my dad and my grandmother, or if that would be we as, whatever hereditary, was going on. or could go on that would create a TB test problem. Turns out it was just them, and it was because they were exposed but never got sick.
Right.
As in, they created the antibodies, but they never had it.
Right.
But both of them would blow a TB quick test. They had to do long form.
And of course, we know all children have to have certain vaccinations to be in school.
Mm-hmm.
This one needs to be added to the requirements. And matter of fact, let's take it a step further. If you're on any form of public assistance, if you or your employee and the employer should step the hell up and require it in their workplaces, boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It seems like everyone's trying to, find a way around it, though. Because the other thing is, what originally happened is the templates for the cards, your little vaccination card, they put those online so that, your local family doctor or whatever could quickly download that, create their own cards, and fill them out as they vaccinated their patients.
Right.
Or in case someone got a shipment and ran out of cards, but not, the vials. Right. They did that. Unfortunately, what has happened since is all 50 states have been downloaded. There are instructions online for how to fake it. A lot of people have started to do that now. Like there's entire instructional videos on what you should do or have to do in order to make it convincing. And it's really thrown the fact that we did not do, and for good reasons, did not do a national database. Right. On one side, I agree with not doing the national database in terms of it's kind of a big invasion of privacy and a lot of data.
Here's the thing, though. The local health departments have to keep record of who got what shot.
Right.
It's easy to verify if the shot was given. That is a call to a health department.
Right, but are you going to expect every single airport to do that for every single flying passenger? Like, that's a large onus on a major business.
They have to verify it for international travel.
Again, I'm just saying.
Right.
It's one thing when you're talking about international travel. Like, that's a select number of flights. It's a fair number of people, but it's a select number of flights.
Right.
When you're talking about domestic travel, if we get back to normal travel rate, the weight of that much verification, while you'll have your frequent flyers that will get verified once and not bounce through the system again,
right?
If they're already verified, you're going to have a lot of one-time and one-off travelers that will still be, a good chunk of each flight that will need to be verified. And that's a lot for a business to have to try to manage. I'm just saying, if we could have relied on the cards, which is looking very quickly like we're not going to be able to.
I think they should have done the passport. Brenda says that there's a guy in Cali that created a bracelet you can scan and it gives you vaccination data. And that, the detection, China has rolled this out. Hong Kong has rolled this out. And we're looking at the European Union's rolling out this app that's on your phone and it'll tell you exactly where it's at.
Right. Well, and Mary kind of goes where my other side of it was.
Right.
Is that it was going to be a lot of, like, if we had created an electronic record system for this and made it a central system, that's a lot of privacy to be concerned about. That is a lot of records. That is a giant system with a lot of personal health information that has to be properly managed.
Right.
And then the question is, what do you do after? Like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road when we don't need this anymore, how do we properly ensure that this gets properly destroyed.
Right.
So that this isn't a thing that is just floating around out there.
Well, this could be the beginning of universal medical records. Not too hard to calculate. We looked at it years ago. It should have been done.
In many senses, I understand it, and to some degree, I do want it.
Mm-hmm.
I still struggle with it.
I know you do.
That, well, because from a data standpoint, when you have a universal system
Mm-hmm.
that everybody can access, you open up a door. In that, it's great on one hand, right, if your car goes off the road while you're road tripping across America and you're from West Virginia and you're in Colorado, that's great. That ER physician can know everything they could possibly need to know in order to make sure that they do everything right to save your life.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right.
The downside is some rando working in a hospital could just pull up your medical record. Like your ex, your whomever could get in and not only just see like basic, statistical information, name, age, height, weight, whether or not you have insurance, that kind of stuff, but the more intimate parts of your medical record, the things that, no, this should remain between you and a currently active medical provider.
Right. That's why, they originally looked at doing fingerprint scanning.
I definitely think if we go that route, we're going to have to very carefully audit who accesses what.
Right.
But the problem still remains, how do you determine if an access was illegitimate immediately and flag it?
If you're scanning the patient's fingerprint.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's the only way you can access that record. Is that patient is in front of you, scan the fingerprint to open the record.
Mm-hmm. But the number of people that also have concern about being part of a national fingerprint database.
Right.
Because again, you're moving people into a position in which they're giving up parts of their, identification, as in their physical, you're forcing them into a system that requires a fingerprint.
Well, here's the thing, and here's the thing all over. People need to realize we don't have privacy. They track your banking records. They track your life. If you live online, your life is out there. This whole idea of, I don't want my fingerprint because they might be able to over with. You're on cameras 43 times a day, dude. You've been identified.
Well, again, I'm just saying there are significant privacy concerns, and our bigger issue in the U.S. has been that we do not have control of our data.
No.
We don't have the option to opt out. And we're already seeing exploitation of, say, systems like, DNA Ancestry to catch a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're seeing that happening more and more. DNA was kind of a big push in the beginning under the same reasoning. Mm-hmm. Now we're going one step further, and police departments are becoming, so to speak, empowered, or at least enabled, to list and compare that data against commercial systems and what data is in it, to not just find a direct match, but to find a lineage match. So your great grandchild commits a crime 40 years in the future, the fact you went and did your ancestry DNA today could lead to that arrest. That child never had an opportunity to opt out.
Dear, you ain't got a negotiation room with me.
Pardon?
You ain't got a negotiation room with me on that one. It's like, and catch them. Give me the damn tax-paying dollars.
Again, though, It is a privacy concern. I know the it becomes the question of, do the ends necessarily justify the means? Being very, very careful there, that ultimately you're making decisions today for people that are not even born yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're allowing this, what else could we end up enabling or allowing in the future if we allow this because the ends justify the means?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what happens when insurance companies decide, if we don't get universal health care, what happens when insurance companies decide that they can, say, use a blood sample or do a little digging online to figure out your lineage and take that ancestry DNA report to find out what genetic issues you might be susceptible to and potentially deny you life insurance, health insurance, or long-term care insurance because you have a higher risk because of your ancestral DNA of developing a costly illness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, like, these are things that it's not that much further to go.
Well, again, we need universal health care to begin with. That has not been a debatable issue. Cops using databases to submit to catch predators like the Green Mile killer. If they had the ability to search his DNA and save on like 43 victims, and go for it.
I'm not saying there isn't a good outcome there.
Right.
Like, that's not my argument. My argument isn't that there was a good outcome.
Mm-hmm.
My question or my issue becomes, but there's still a privacy issue there. You're not just looking for a one-to-one match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you commit a crime and you're dumb enough to submit your DNA personally, individually, to an ancestral DNA site, that's on you. But to sit here and pull, a third cousin into this, that seems like a bridge too far.
Nope. If it was my way and my view of it, let's run it. Go pick them all up. Let's solve all these crimes. Let's stop these murders that are going on. We wouldn't have serial killers. The DNA match, click, pick him up.
Well, always assuming you get a DNA match.
Right.
I just still find it I find it a bridge too far. Because but again, we're using this and it's an emotional one. There's a lot of feelings around criminality.
Yes. Convinced.
And it's easy to say that the ends will justify the means. But unfortunately, once you build that bridge, you can start making that argument for other things. And that's my ultimate question, is how far do we end up letting it go?
Well, we let it go until long as it's beneficial.
Okay.
I mean, point blank. Solving unsolved crimes, done. Reduce prison population because we have a DNA center already done, and we don't get wrongfully convicted because the DNA doesn't match. Much simpler.
Okay.
Cuts down on a lot of financing that we're spending for bullshit.
Okay.
Speaking of capital punishment, South Carolina is on the rails of almost bringing back in an older method of executing prisoners. Mm-hmm.
What
They're
are they
moving
bringing
forward.
back?
Huh?
What are they bringing back? Guillotines?
Firing squad.
Really? Firing squad?
Yep. South Carolina is moving closer to allowing the death by firing squad.
I mean, I would have more seriously said, old Sparky. Like, I could see South Carolina being an electric chair state and being like, really excited about that.
I would be excited about that. I could think of the revenue coming off of it.
But yeah, firing squad. Okay.
Yeah.
Still messy, though.
I know. I mean, the easiest one is hanging. It takes about an hour and a half. It's a little longer, but it's less mass.
Well, granted, that can sometimes go wrong and just leave someone paralyzed and in the limbo of not healthy enough to execute.
Mm-hmm.
And we've run into the same thing with lethal injection.
Right.
There are situations in which people are not killed
Right.
with lethal injection. Or it takes so long for them to die, it's been considered cruel and unusual. Mm-hmm. Oh, South Carolina is an electric chair state. See, yeah. I thought South Carolina would lighten someone up. I mean, have you ever been on the border?
Yeah, the only problem with this is, the inmate has the right to choose the method of death. I don't think it should be on their plate. I think the victim's family should be able to choose the method of death. And guillotine, ooh, very entertaining.
It's not entertaining. Okay, it's a little entertaining, but no, it's not entertaining. It's still really messy.
That's a $50 pay-per-view.
No.
Yes.
No.
Let's solve this deficit problem in entertainment.
You and George Carlin, I swear.
We'd make $1 million, especially with war, overseas people.
It's still I don't know that there's any version of death penalty that I've so far liked. As in, there's lots of negatives all across the board. Like the electric chair, there are people that haven't died. There lethal injection, there are people that haven't died. Hanging, there are people that haven't died. Guillotine, very effective, also very messy.
That's what we have pressure washers for. But, and Brenda agrees with you, people would pay.
Oh, come on. We know they'll pay.
Uh-huh.
They watch, reality television.
Right.
I mean, come on. The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Real Housewives of I forget how many counties now.
Other methods of criminal punishment. Of course, I'm also for the shock collar.
Okay.
For lesser crimes. You fit them with a shock collar, and you give the victim's family a button that times out. You only can press it 3 times within a 24-hour period. When it's pressed, it's a voltage of shock that paralyzes the criminal for up to 30 minutes.
See, that just sounds cruel and unusual. And I understand these are, that this is someone who has been convicted.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that there is a crime related to that, and that crime more than likely was also cruel and unusual. Right. I just still sit here with the fundamental issue of what does it do to us as a society when we directly engage in cruel and unusual behavior? Mm-hmm. Do we all become serial killers?
Or does the crime reduce itself?
Although I will say on the shock collar thing, I did threaten a boss with that at one point, was LoJack and a shock collar. LoJack to figure out where the hell he was, and a shock collar so that I could shock the hell out of him for being there.
Mm-hmm.
And not where he was supposed to be.
Right. Get him out of the bathroom or his mistress's closet.
Oh. Now, if there'd been a mistress's closet, I could have just been like, hey, wife of.
Uh-huh.
And he would have been dead. Like, yep.
Oh. So this other story pisses me off.
Okay.
For a number of reasons. Let's lay them out clearly.
Okay.
PPP loans are out of money again. However, they're finding a lot of misuse of them.
Yeah.
Here is one case that has finally made the news. There's another case that hasn't made the news, but I'm really going to talk about here for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So, man who owns a pizza restaurant. Restaurants get really hit bad, so they get a PPP loan to keep their employees.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep their business operational.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes out a $660,000 PPP loan to maintain his pizza restaurant. Now, I've ran restaurants before. I don't know how busy he was beforehand.
Yeah. Well, it turns out he lied about the number of employees he had to do that.
Which is very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then use some of that money to buy an alpaca farm in Vermont.
Yeah. And sold the pizza restaurant and fired his employees. The person getting the pizza restaurant could not get a PPP loan because it was already issued to the first person. Yeah. We're seeing this a lot, and we're going to see more stories like this.
Yeah.
People getting PPP loans and buying cars and not having employees in February, but in April they have 3 to 4 employees and 4 or 5 people listed on their company, affecting their Dun & Bradstreet report. Like, I want the fraud information to turn people in because these PPP loans have been misused, misappropriated. We had big companies get it. We have little small businesses that are barely holding up with their wish-wannabe shops. And them getting closed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to calculate now if all of that was intended for payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Just which we know isn't exactly how that loan works.
Right.
But if all of it had been intended for payroll, and I'm assuming most pizza employees are going to be making minimum wage.
Right.
So throwing in $7.50 an hour. And then let's see, divide by 52, divide by 40. That looks like he was claiming 42 employees.
For a pizza restaurant that has 4 cooks. On an average shift, you'd have 4 cooks, 5 delivery people, 2 cashiers, and maybe 7 waitresses if you've got tables.
Yeah. So counting all your employees up.
Yeah.
As in, that's just one shift.
No, that's one day.
Okay.
4 employees, on average 5 delivery drivers. On average, on a full dining room floor, I'd run 6 waitresses and 2 busboys.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems like a severe overinflation.
Yeah.
I know that some of this is applicable to lost revenues and more importantly, meeting expenses. So I'm sure some of that was legitimate, but still.
Yeah.
You really had to inflate the number of your employees.
Right. You had to inflate your number of employees. He used some of it to start a YouTube channel on Bitcoin. He used some of it to buy an alpaca farm. I will be following the story and paying very closely attention to it.
Oh, Vermont actually has $15 an hour minimum wage, so that would work out to 21 employees. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's still a little inflated.
Yeah, very inflated. Very, very inflated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary, Dun & Bradstreet. Yeah. I went and checked my Dun & Bradstreet, and apparently I'm part of companies that I'm no longer, was never supposed to be a part of.
Oh, actually, it was almost 50 employees that he claimed.
He didn't have 50.
Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, he claimed 50.
Yeah.
Or near 50.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Which then again, see, that's where it gets ugly if people are doing some weirdo crap with their hours.
Mm-hmm.
When they're trying to keep employees below full time.
Mm-hmm.
Is you could potentially have a large number of employees just because you're a really snotty boss who, avoids hiring people full time.
Right. But again, even that, you're not going to have 50 employees in a pizza restaurant.
Oh, yeah. But no, so he's currently facing 40 years in prison and $750,000 in fines.
Plus the $660,000 loan repayment, because of course we're not forgiving that loan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, he's technically charged with wire fraud and money laundering.
Good.
Because he passed through one business to buy another.
Right.
Like that part makes perfect sense.
Right.
And then wire fraud, you're always going to get charged with that if you lie to on a form to the government. You're always going to get charged with wire fraud.
Right.
Like, that's the easiest. I think that's one of the easiest things to ever prove. Is like wire fraud. You misrepresented. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I think we're going to see more of this. I can't wait for them to start auditing these companies because, of course, these companies have to do their taxes. By the way, taxes are due in 10 days, and they're going to see exactly what they claim. And if they ain't got their shit together, going to be a problem.
Yeah. Now, Mary makes the point that somebody... Well, and I'm going to put this in a, one, this is an allegation against him. It has not been proven in court. And two, Mary makes the comment that, someone, and I'm going to insert some words, could have stolen the valid pizza place EIN and use the Dun & Bradstreet to create a falsified loan document. Which would make this even more confusing.
Exactly.
And potentially even uglier if that is what happened and they do track down who did it.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. And for those that don't know, Dun & Bradstreet is the credit bureau for businesses. Your business credit score is by Dun & Bradstreet. They evaluate the businesses. They normally keep track of any banking documents you have, any employment records you have, so that when you say you have 5 employees, the IRS can look at Dun & Bradstreet and yep, and here's their names.
Yeah.
So
still an ugly situation.
Very much an ugly situation, very much a messy situation. This PPP loan stuff is going to be crappy.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it was Republican run.
Well, this program has had a lot of issues from the very, very, very beginning, all the way back to the very first round of loans, in which banks were giving certain customers priority processing.
Right.
And getting the money out to them because they were high volume clients.
Right.
Versus their more low volume clients that kind of got left on hold.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. But it's just like ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and it just shows how bad this was ran as a government program. I mean, in general, we weren't able to get PPP loans because we're independent contractors and neither one of our businesses stopped during it.
Right. Which, I mean, reality, we should be grateful.
Right.
Like it's not that we're ungrateful, to the universe,
right,
that in the midst of a pandemic, our businesses actually still did fine.
Right.
Like, to some degree, your business actually really did improve.
Oh, yeah. He went through the pre-Biden loans During the Biden loans, I could have gotten a PPP loan, except it kept pulling up that I was invalid. So, run down in Bad Street. Yeah, I'm listed on another business that I'm not a part of. Was never a financial part of.
Yeah. Well, and I believe in some instances, it does also point out that the Dun & Bradstreet report is not always perfect. In that some of that data may not always accurately reflect.
But that data has been presented, and that's the
Right.
problem.
Right.
Yeah. So now, for me to do anything in business, I have to fight with Dun & Bradstreet to get my name off of business that I don't technically have a part in.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh yeah, all of this. Yeah, we were talking about the first round of PPP loans that were pre-Biden.
Yeah, this is a pre-Biden administration.
Oh yeah. And I believe this situation goes back to April 2020. So we would also be talking about pre-Biden.
Right.
If I can, is what it looks like.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So Dosh Duggar was released.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what all terms got thrown out there?
Okay. He has to live with a third party, be monitored 24/7. He is not to be around any children that isn't his. And then when he is around his children, he has to be supervised by the wife. He cannot have any interaction with any children. He is allowed to attend religious services and medical events and work-related things as long as minors are not involved.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about Josh Duggar, the wonderful, brilliant son of the Duggar family, also known from, what was it, like 18 and counting, then 19 and counting, and then,
21 and counting.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but that poor woman's womb is like a damn turnstile at a New York subway.
Right. And when we go and look back, he's already up to 8 children poor. His wife is pregnant with another one. Like, these people don't believe in birth control, or at least keeping the Catholic calendar at all.
Yeah, no, this is the Quiverful moment in full effect.
Right.
In terms of their birth rate, I don't want to necessarily throw off on the entire Quiverful movement. Really have a problem with Quiverful as a word. I don't want to throw off on them and say this is exactly what they are all like. I'm just saying,
right,
birth-wise, family planning-wise, there's not really a limit.
Right.
Like, it's as many kids as she can pump out.
Right.
Like, bless her heart. And just keep going until the body says no more.
Right.
So yeah. A lot of children though.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's basically, you've got to rent a like massive tour bus in order to go out to dinner.
Right. What I found interesting in this case was the steps the government had went to because they had to basically present their case to get him to stay in jail. And it was really interesting. They were talking about a Linux that he had a computer system that watched his stuff because he already had problems in his marriage with porn. So there was this accountability app on the Windows computer, but in the unallocated space, he had installed a Linux program to run like a hidden computer. And he was doing porn, and he was downloading from darker web spaces. child porn, and they even had like timestamps of when he accessed those files.
Oh.
And was able to geolocate him by his social media post on, yes, it was him at the computer because he was the only one at the car lot during this time.
Oh, good grief. Like, and I think that kind of goes towards how messed up he as an individual is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on the one hand, like, it's been made clear you've got a problem, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, so you entered into an agreement with your spouse to monitor what's going on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the literal next thing you do is find a way to bypass that and go to great length to do so.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to understand how a picture has geolocation in it. It has other data in it.
Computers are actually, doing more now.
Right.
In terms of geolocating. And most of this is the same things that will power the ability to do simple things,
Mm-hmm.
like get your local weather or, say, hey, any of the wake words, and get your computer, your cell phone, your whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to go find something for you to do,
right.
like, a pizza place near me or, etc. So you do have some amount of geolocation online, especially in terms of IP addresses, more specifically,
Mm-hmm.
that will tie you to a place at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But additionally, this more so sounds like they're talking about not just when he accessed it on his computer,
Mm-hmm.
as much as they're talking about when he accessed it online.
Right.
To download that content.
Right.
Yeah.
And how they were able to track it because they have things stuck into the files now. Like, they can't stop the files from being processed, but what they can do is they've targetedly downloaded it so that your ISP, which records everything you do online,
Mm-hmm.
knows that this computer downloaded this file on this day.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what brought him into the sting, because the local detective was trying to catch local. So there's multiple charges here, but this one went to the federal because of the amount.
Well, yeah, and then more than likely he had to have crossed state lines for it.
Right.
Like, the minute he accessed a server in a different state, it became federal.
Right.
The minute he accessed a computer in a different state, it became federal.
Right.
Like, that's all this literally takes. And considering this is online activity, it didn't take much for that to happen.
Right.
Like, hi, we're connecting the world. You're most likely going to go out of your state to get to something.
What I found interesting, and this is a very much difference than the other legal case I was following with, which I'll update that in a minute, was this both judges are very computer savvy. Like, the feds chose their judge well. She knew everything, understood everything, asked questions both to the detective, and not only the prosecutor asking questions, but she's asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming an important part of, and it's a very welcome thing to see in our judicial system, or our legal system, period.
Mm-hmm.
The more tech savviness across the board.
Right.
That, because if we just go back a few years, we still had a legal system that really struggled with some basic concepts of internet.
Right.
And like, if nothing else, anyone who watched the testimony of Mark Zuckerberg
Mm-hmm.
in front of Congress, dear sweet Jesus,
Right.
the amount of idiocy in the questions.
Right.
As in, like, have you ever touched a computer? Have you ever been online? Do you have a Facebook account? Do you understand what Facebook is?
Yes.
Level of problem that
Right.
this congressional committee had, just trying to get like foundational aspects of Facebook.
Right. And what was really, but we're seeing that very much not in the judicial system. Now, the Crystal Ball case, where she is being sued by a beauty influencer, is now, of course, it was dismissed in Washington on grounds of we can't hear it here. And it has been moved over to them now negotiating it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're trying arbitration before they gear up again, if they gear up again.
Right.
Okay. And it looks like you have a question coming in.
Awesome. Hi, Madison.
All righty. Let me know when you're ready.
Let me heat the cards up.
Okay. Oh, and Madison is young enough. I actually had to think about your age. You are a baby.
Yeah, normally you just say, 19, you can do it.
Sadly, yes, that's where we're at in this world. I'm still struggling to get used to the fact that that actually makes a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, alrighty, you're good to
All right.
go?
Yep.
All right, Madison, 12/15/2001. Is my ex-boyfriend Alex already talking to another girl or girls? Is he still processing the breakup?
All right. So looking at it, we have the Two of Swords here showing him there's emotions there that don't want to be dealt with. I feel he is still processing it. I also feel like that there's a lot of junk that he has to also deal with personally because he brought baggage into your relationship. With the World card and the Lovers card showing up here, this normally is a good sign of wanting to connect and make a relationship. The World card is showing the end of a cycle. He isn't here yet. So if he is talking to other girls, yeah. Do I think he's trying to form relationships with them? No. Do I think that he's trying to pursue somebody else? No.
There we go. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's hilarious watching this. And of course, James Charles being sued, that's even more enjoyable to watch.
Oh no, what is James Charles getting sued for?
Poor execution of employee records. And he's being brought up on labor board charges because his assistant worked over 80 hours a week, was only paid for 40. And she had an accident and he bitched her out for not getting a video up in time. And she's in the hospital.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it's really sounding like a now, granted, this is only pre-trial. These are allegations. We haven't seen the proof yet, but he may host a lot of financial problems with back pay. And of course, because it's labor board, she'll get, if she wins, not only will she get back pay for her overtime, she could get triple back pay.
Yeah, gotta love those treble damages because labor board don't play.
No.
They really don't play around. They like making sure employers don't screw with your pay.
Yeah.
Granted, for some employers, that's still not enough.
I know.
A lot of employers have basically been empowered enough for so long that the threats they make towards employees actually work. And so no one pursues it, or they get into a situation in which it's hard finding a lawyer to go pursue it.
Right.
Because unfortunately, working with a labor board situation, you better believe that company's going to have lawyers there.
Oh yeah.
So you better have one of your own.
Right.
So yeah.
No.
It's ugly.
Well, and Jeffree Star is still healing up from his injuries, but now apparently he has a stalker. Not surprising. Not surprising at all.
Yeah.
So that recently came out in the news. No, actually, he's James Charles is out of California, so he's going to have to deal with California labor laws that are a lot more severe than West Virginia laws.
Oh yeah, West Virginia is kind of taken a backseat for a long time.
Right.
Not as bad as North Carolina.
Right.
Like North Carolina can be a bit crazy.
It can be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, I know we started late, but we're going to have to end on time because I have to get caught back up on my schedule. We will be back next Tuesday at 9:30 for the Psychic Coffee Shop, and we'll see you guys then.
Absolutely. And we do want to thank our supporters, Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Gist, Shannon C, Shannon D. If you'd like to support the show or learn more about us and everything that the Psychic Coffee Shop has to offer, please visit pcsbnetwork.com.
Yep. And we will see you next week. Have fun, y'all. Be safe. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Wear your mask.
Yes.
You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie 'em to the ground.